Hi, in this video, I will show you how to code a space shooter game inside Unity that fires projectile weapon every time you press the spacebar. So in our game scene, we have a spaceship, which is the player, a game object that we will use to instantiate for a laser beam attack. The first thing that we need to do is to create a script that move our laser beam forward. How to create a script inside Unity. To create a script inside Unity, go to your project window and then look for scripts. Over here, we have a script folder. If you don't have a script folder, you can create one by clicking the right mouse button and then create a folder. But we already have a script folder, so we don't need to do that. So what we're gonna do is that under the script, you just have to click the right mouse button, click create, and then click C# script. Once you have created a C# script, you can name your C# script and please follow the proper naming convention so other people will know what this script is all about. After finish renaming your script, you can double click it so you can edit it on Visual Studio. How to make an object move forward inside Unity. If you have game object that you would like to move forward in Unity, then you need to create an equation for it to move forward. So let's start by thinking of what are the things that we need to consider when we're moving object forward. First, we have to create a variable which is speed. So let's just put here public and then a float, then speed, and then we put a value here. Let's say it's 10.0. That means that we are actually creating a full decimal number. And then we'll put F so that the computer will know it's a float. And then we'll close our syntax. There you go. We have a public float speed already. So now we just have to create an equation on how we'll be able to move the object forward. For this, we have to create a keyword, and we're going to use the transform that translate. Vector tree is a structure that represents 3D vectors and points inside our game environment. If you add a point like vector tree dot forward, it tells the computer to move the object in the positive direction forward. It's a shorthand for 0, 0, 1. And on the other hand, and if you use vector tree dot back, it means that the game object is programmed to move backward like 0, 0, -1. But if we wanted to move backward, back, it means that we're getting a values at 0, 0, -1. But since we are going to move our object forward, we'll create vector tree dot forward. And then from there, we'll just multiply it on time dot delta time, which means that we're multiplying it on time frame, and then times the speed that we would like this to be so we that you would like to assign to see how fast that object will move. Now we have a red thing here because we forgot to close it with the semicolon, and now everything is okay. So now don't forget to save, Control S, and then once you update it in the Unity, then you have to attach it into an object, and that object will be able to move forward. Okay? So let's now go to Unity and check if our laser beam is going to move forward. So what we're going to do is to attach the component to the laser beam, and that is the move forward script. And here you can see that because we have a variable, we can move um, we can put the values up and down. Now let's go to game mode and see for ourselves. So once we click play, it should automatically spring to action. There you go. It works. So guys, we have now successfully attached our script, the move forward script to our laser beam, and you can see that there is already a script here, and we can also change the speed to however we like it. So if we go to play mode, we will be able to see that the laser beam will be able to fly through on our space, right? Now, in order for us to create multiple laser beams, we have to create a prefab for this particular game object. What we're going to do is we're going to create a folder and just click the right arrow key of the mouse, and then here is a folder. So on our folder, let's just name it as prefabs. Now we have a prefab folder, and then I'll just rename it and add S on it because we have several prefabs. Now, yeah, we have the prefab folder, and what we're going to do is to create the laser beam as a part of our prefab. We'll just move it here on the prefab folder, and then Unity will ask like, would you like to create a new original prefab or a variant from the existing prefab laser beam? We'll just create an original prefab. If you want a variant like different kinds of laser designs, then we'll talk about that on the next topic. As of now, let's just create an original prefab for this one. Now we are on, we have a prefab. So if you go to the game mode, and put the laser beam on the scene, you can see several different copies or instances of our game object being moved forward. So you can see that the laser beam is actually moving forward from our scene. So, in order for us to be able to create multiple instances of the laser beams that we're trying to use as a weapon for our spaceship, we'll need to go back to Visual Studio and enhance our script so that every time we press the spacebar button, a copy of our game object will be um, use as a laser beam to attack our target. So here we're going to create several instances of our game object. So let's do it now in Visual Studio. So now we are inside Visual Studio and we are on our player controller script. So what we're going to do is that we are supposed to program certain command that when we press the space bar in our keypad, then the laser beam will be called and used to hit our target. So or hit the space because we don't have target as of the moment. So in order for us to do that, we'll have to create another if statement. So let's just create if and then the statement. So we need something that is true on this statement. So what we're going to do is that we'll use input dot get key down. That means that when we're pressing it down, so and then we'll choose the key. So that will be key code. I think it's capital letter and code is capital letter for C. And then we'll use a here you have already a selection of what you wanted to go. You can scroll down and see, but since we're looking for space, so we'll just type space. So the scroll down there and then click space. And there you go. So we had already an if statement. So, and then here we're going to create a condition if it's true. So, um, if we are hitting the spacebar button, then we should be able to launch a projectile from the player. So we'll just create another equation or syntax. Here we're going to use the keyword instantiate. Okay, I forgot the letter S. Instantiate, and then we'll call for the projectile prefab. So open parenthesis, projectile prefab, then comma, then transform dot position, comma, then projectile prefab dot transform dot rotation. Then we'll just close the syntax with a semicolon. We don't see any red lines that shows some problems. Now let's just save and then go back to Unity. So guys, we are now inside Unity and we're just going to check if our script is working. As you can see, when I'm pressing the spacebar, the laser beams are being fired on. So that's it for today. On our next video, I'm going to talk about how to be able to delete all these laser beams because we are creating so many copies of this object. So we'll um, talk about that on the next video. Bye for now. Cheers. Hey do.